Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto Was the Perfect Experiment. Remember to give this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over an Anime King to an Anime King. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what you find every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, with this to begin this new episode start, the intro. So, the last time we left off, Yujito was sent sailing as she crashed through 2 buildings before hitting the far wall of Konoha. It was Naruto who had lost his mind. Danzo had failed to give him any results on the blood that he had brought him, and Naruto was so angry that he lost himself in utter rage. When Yujito attacked him, all he saw was red as he hit her. His hit was so powerful that she was sent sailing through the air, as some of her ribs were broken. The Nibi told her to relax as she was going to try and heal her right now. But she had to move as Naruto came down, cracking a large part of the wall with his fists. His punch was so powerful that it drove right through the wall completely. She spat out a lot of blood, given that she had moved. Here's when the other thing came. As Naruto was in his mindscape, he was in the last hallway, where that thick darkness was. As Naruto was speaking to the person inside, the person found the situation amusing. As Naruto was able to see the Hokage's tower, the red symbol seemed to calm him down. Mostly it was a color red, it seems. As Naruto snapped back to reality, we had a flashback about Orochimaru, as he was using that person to make him have leverage over Naruto. As Hiruzen was able to calm Naruto down, well, he thought that it was him, but in actuality it was not. So with that out of the way, as Naruto spoke to Hiruzen, he managed to take the blame off Yujito, as she was really thankful to the Hokage, considering that she didn't want to start an incident. But she told Hiruzen to not trust Naruto, because he was untrustworthy, as Naruto explained to the old man that he was, well, evil back then. As Naruto caught up to her and spoke, she told him that he might have these people fooled, but once he was outside, she was going to slit his throat. But he merely took her threat as a joke as he walked off, telling her that he would make it up to her. With that out of the way, it was finally time for the exams, as Naruto was in a chipper mood, as he got a letter from one of his snakes, as that seemed to calm him down. As the group made their way, as Naruto arrived rather late, saying that he was busy doing something, as Sakura pressed about what it was, well, let's just say she never wanted to hear. As they arrived inside, they made their way, as Kakashi greeted them at the hall, as he wished them good luck as they stepped inside. As Naruto saw someone that he was looking for, as Kabuto stand there. As Naruto spoke to him, Kabuto accidentally told Naruto that he knew one person that he wouldn't risk. As Naruto lost his edge after that, Kakashi was about to leave, but then someone broke through the wall, as Kabuto was lying on the ground in pain. As Naruto stepped out of the broken wall, a pissed off look on his face. So yeah guys, it was basically last we left off. You guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself. So this will be in this new episode. Team Yujito was currently making their way towards the academy room where the exam was going to begin. As they came upon a rather peculiar sight, Samui was the first one to pause. She noticed a rubble, as she noticed someone stepping out, sword in hand. She saw his eyes. They were green, with black slits in them. She looked forward as she saw the Konoha ninja, with glasses, silver hair on the ground. As he was slowly picking himself up. What the hell, said Karu. As Omoe was confused. Was this a part of the exam, he wondered. Naruto! The voice of Kakashi stopped Naruto. As Naruto looked up, his eyes caught inside of Samui. His eyes instantly returned back to their ocean blue. What happened, said Kakashi, as he stepped in between the two. As Naruto's body seemed to calm down and relax, as Kabuto picked himself up. He was the one to speak. Well, me and young Naruto here were having a disagreement, and he took it out rather violently. Yeah, he's right, said Naruto. His girl was basically throwing herself at me. So I pursue her. I know he's angry. Well, it's not my fault, said Naruto. Well, Kabuto said as he shrugged, going on with the plot. We are both Konoha shinobi. It wouldn't be wise for the both of us to be fighting in front of other villages, ninjas. Yes, you're right, said Naruto as he stepped past Kakashi. He extended his arm as Kabuto took it, as Naruto applied pressure. But Kabuto's smile did not falter. Kakashi was confused by the whole ordeal. To how calm Kabuto was, it made no sense. And there was something off about Naruto. It was the first time that Kakashi saw him, well, straining a smile. It was like the smile was fake, but it was put together so well. You could hardly tell. As he broke free, Kakashi noticed the tenseness on Kabuto's arm. Once Naruto released it, implied that Naruto was adding pressure. Here he was, sounding like a damn detective. But he was right, something was going on. As Kabuto stepped past Naruto and entered the room. Well then, wish me luck, Kakashi said Naruto as he walked inside, back to the hole that he created. The moment Naruto stepped inside, Sakura, Sasuke, and the rest of them were all there. What the hell just happened? Naruto was saved from explaining, as it was a poof. As someone stepped out of the smoke in a black trench coat and all black. Alright, you maggots. Prepare yourself. I will be the exam proctor of the first exam. Ibiki turned his head towards the wall, and the person that was standing there. Uzumaki, he said. Are you the one responsible for the damage? As Naruto turned towards Ibiki. Hey, what's up, Scarface, said Naruto. Ibiki eyed twitched at the nickname, as Naruto knew him quite well because him and Anko was good friends. And Anko had invited Naruto over to poker with them. As Naruto turned back towards the wall. Oh, this? Nah, it wasn't me. It was that guy as Naruto pointed towards Kabuto. He threw his body through it for some reason, said Naruto. What kind of fool do you think I am? Asked Ibiki. Don't know, said Naruto. What kind of fool are you? Enough, Ibiki said, as a smirk came on his face. This time it will be different. I'm the one in charge. You will have to do as I say. I'm the proctor here. Let me guess, said Naruto. You still pissed off that I won all your money in the poker game? You cheated, Ibiki said. And how did I cheat? I don't know, but I will find out. Come on, you're just a bad player at poker, said Naruto. Next time I come by, I'll make sure not to clean you out so much, okay? I'll probably give you a few tips and tricks on how to play. Ibiki was about to say something before he realized everyone was looking at them as he cleared his throat. Let's get back to the proceedings, shall we? It took a couple of minutes as everyone was separated from their teammates as they sat down. Naruto did not know the guy that was on his left, but the girl on his right. Well, blonde hair like his, and a clear set of blue eyes. Hey, you're Yuji-chan, sensei, right? I wonder why I didn't meet you while I was at Kumo. Yuji-chan said somewhere as she looked towards him. Yeah, you're sensei. She and I are complicated friends. If you mean she wants to kill you, then yes, you're correct. My sensei doesn't like you that much. You should not be talking to me. Come on, you're gonna judge me just because of one person. Didn't you betray my sensei? Oh, that, said Naruto. Well, I won't lie to you. That is correct. Then we're done, she said, as she turned her head. So harsh, said Naruto as he looked towards her, but she chose to ignore him. But that simply amused him for some reason. Ibiki then went on to explain the tests. As he gave Naruto a glare as he did, the man still was pissed off that Naruto had left him completely dry. The way that Naruto was laughing that night, he thought that Naruto was cheating, and yet he couldn't find a damn single evidence telling him that. As Naruto looked around the room as the test began, Sakura was going through everything with a boost in her step. The girl was ridiculously smart. Sasuke was cheating using his Sharingan. As Naruto's eyes then went around the room, that is when he saw a particular group of people. With all the commotion with Kabuto, he didn't notice them. As his eyes focused on the black-haired girl, her teammates were separated from her. It was Dosu, Kin, and Zaku. He decided to play ignorant for now. As Naruto noticed everyone cheating, his eyes went towards the man in front of him. It was a Chunin, as his questions were already filled out. As Naruto looked around towards everyone else, it seems like a lot of people got what the test was really about. Naruto placed his hand down on the desk. Samui turned her head as she felt a small burst of chakra. The next thing she knew, the wooden deck started to gain flowers over it. She was confused. She watched as small vines came from the wooden decks. They moved so fast as they wrapped around the Chunin and covered his mouth. He wasn't able to make a sound as they constrict his entire body, forcing him from even moving the slightest of inches. But still, the proctor must have noticed as she looked up. She saw the proctor frown as he raised his hand, but before he could, the Chunin was forced to hand over his paper and take Naruto's paper. "Release," Ibiki said, as he broke the genjutsu. His eyes focused on Naruto, as the vines retracted quickly before he could even see. As Naruto wrote the name of the Chunin and right his end, he then kicked back and placed his legs up on the table, as he gave Ibiki one of those knowing smirks that seemed to piss the man off. Once the 45 minutes was over, "That's enough! Pencils down!" As everyone stopped. Those of you who have made it this far, to receive the 10 question, you must make a choice. You have two options here. Either you take the 10 question and pass, and you go on to the next phase, or you take the 10 question and fail, and you will never ever be able to participate in the exams ever again. The entire place went into an uproar. "Enough," Ibiki said, quieting them down. "I am in charge of this exam, and what I say goes. I'll give you 3 minutes to think it over. If you're leaving, your teammates will be leaving as well." Sakura glanced down towards Naruto, who was leaning back in his chair, as he had the pencil right under his nose, and was balancing it there. She glanced back towards Sasuke, who looked calm as ever. She had nothing to worry about. She would pass, she calmed herself. As Samui realized that this thing was rather stupid. How could he stop them from becoming Chunins? They were not from this village. She glanced to see several other ninjas looking quite scared. Several of them started to drop out instantly. Once, the numbers started dwindling down, and no one else was leaving. Naruto started to laugh. "What is so funny, Uzumaki?" asked Ibiki. "Well, I just find it real funny how stupid most of this year genin is. Well, given that you're one of them, I wouldn't say that so carelessly." "Come on, I'm not that stupid," said Naruto. "I mean, most of them aren't even from Konoha. How are you gonna stop them from taking the tests and graduating next year? I mean, God, they're stupid," said Naruto. Ibiki frowned. Well, he should have known that the boy had figured it out. He was smarter than most. As many people after Naruto said that started to realize that he was right. But it was done, these people are already gonna stay here anyway. As Naruto glanced towards Samui, "I'm not just a pretty face, you know. I'm also smart." She scoffed as she looked away. "Your scoffs hurt me," said Naruto as he held on to his chest. "You know, before this entire exam is over, I'm gonna get through that tough face that you put up, and see who's the real girl underneath." She looked towards him with that incredulous look. "And I must say," said Naruto, "you are a beautiful one." As he turned his head back towards Ibiki, who went on to explain the final exams and why they passed. It was then that the window burst open. As shards of glass went everywhere, a banner was pinned up with kunais as it read, "The Super Sexy Mitarashi Anko." as Anko came out in a winning pose. "Alright, my little priest," she said as he looked around. As she had this glint in her eyes then fell on Naruto as she gave him a smirk. He simply smirked back. "For all of you that passed the first part of the test," she then paused. "Ibiki." "It's quite a lot," she said. "I guess they're just tougher this year," he said, a bit angry. "Or perhaps you're just getting washed up," said Naruto. "What?" Ibiki said. "I mean, come on. You're getting really old now," said Naruto. "If I was you, I would pass on the leadership to someone much younger. Someone much hotter," said Naruto. His eyes focused on Anko. "You know, the kid does have a point," Anko said. Ibiki started to mumble something to himself as Anko chuckled. "Alright, the rest of you. Follow me to train room 44. With that, she jumped back through the window. "Always have to keep the spotlight on her," said Naruto. As Naruto turned towards Samui. "Given that this is your first time in the village, I'll be your little escort," he said. "I don't need your help. Everyone else is going there, I'll just follow them." "Well, still good to have someone showing your own," said Naruto. As he walked with her, he kept on pointing out several places that wasn't important. She tried to ignore him, but he just kept on talking. As Karu came over along with Amoy, the both of them just listened. They didn't know why he was here. As they remember what their sensei said clear, they should stay away from this guy. When they had asked, Yujito told them that he was not a good person, and plus he was dangerous. She had warned them, if they had to fight him, they should run. Run for their life. That was rather surprising, given that she was their Jonin sensei, and should be confident in her skills, but it seems like she was not. But Samui saw it a different way. It seems that Naruto was just that dangerous. As the group made their way, they arrived towards the Forest of Death. As Anko stepped up towards the podium. "Alright everyone," she said. As there were several sounds coming from the Forest of Death, as Samui narrowed her eyes over there. "Pretty scary, huh?" said Naruto. "Don't have to worry, I'll protect you." "And who said I need your protection?" she asked. "Well, no one. But I feel like it's my duty to do that." "Why?" she said to him. "Don't know," he said that shrug. "Guess I just like you." "You're rather bold, are you?" she said. "Well, what's the point of being shy? Life is too short." As he smiled. "What's so funny?" "Well, you said you wouldn't talk to me and here you are." "Don't remind me," she said. She looked away. "You know, you should really be with your team and not another team." As Naruto turned towards Sakura. "Oh, Sakura. Don't worry, I'll catch up with you guys in a few. I just want to introduce you to my good friend. Her name is Samui." Samui turned towards Naruto. She hadn't introduced herself to him, or even said her name, but he simply smiled. A smile that seemed to show that he knew everything. As Naruto then paused. "What's wrong?" said Sakura, as she saw a strange look come on his face. His face actually went blank. That it scared her, not just her. His eyes went lifeless and cold as he looked around for several seconds. As Naruto focused on the only grass team that was here. The grass had only sent one team. They had refused to tell anyone that most of their forces were wiped out. They had only sent one team. Despite Konoha being their allies, it seems this world doesn't really trust anyone. As Naruto focused on one of the females who were wearing a hat that covered her face. As Naruto's eyes just bore onto the hat, the person looked up. The person was smiling. As their eyes locked with Naruto, someone walked between them as they broke eye contact. As Sakura shook Naruto. As Naruto turned towards her, his eyes turned him back lifeless. Someone looked down towards her hand. The place was actually getting colder around him. As she looked towards Karu and Amoy, who felt it as well. It seems like everyone did. Anko cleared her throat. "Alright, pay attention," she said. "What just happened?" Sakura asked. "Nothing," said Naruto. She saw that he was going to elaborate on that, as Sasuke watched him carefully. When Anko was finished, as Team 7 signed the waiver, they got their Earth Scroll as they were supposed to gather a Heaven Scroll. After a few minutes, as Anko stood right beside Naruto as the teams were getting ready to enter the forests, What was that, she asks. Just trying to scare everyone, said Naruto. Well, it worked, she said, as she saw some of them looking at him. You know they're gonna come after you, right? After this little stunt that you just pulled. Yep. It will make it a lot more interesting, said Naruto. You know, I can't die in there. And we wouldn't see each other again. Such lost opportunities, he said. Anko frowned. As nothing had happened, he was still pissing her off by not coming to her first. And she was still determined on winning the bet, to making him come to her first, begging. But he was not at all. She frowned in annoyance, but then she smirked. We both know that none of them in here can land a single finger on you. He was strong, like ridiculously strong. If you die, it's your own doing, she said. Well, I guess you're right, he said. But who knows, it's a ninja world. As he walked by her, she frowned as she saw him walk by. As Naruto made his way towards the gate, a smirk on his face. But that smirk soon vanished. Team 7 gathered beside him though. And with that, the gates dropped and they were off. 15 minutes later. So far, it has been rather uneventful. Nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing at all. As Team 7 was strolling right out in the open. I have to ask once again, do you think it's wise for us to just be walking out here? Trust me, Sakura, said Naruto. There's just a few Genins that you have to worry about. The others don't stand a chance against you. Most of them are incredibly weak, I can tell, said Naruto. As for Sasuke, well, he has a little bit less to worry about. And as for me, I'm basically a god in here. Cocky much, said Sakura. Well, not to brag, but yes, said Naruto, as he continued to walk out in the open. The group was stopped as a rain team landed in front of them. Hand over your scrolls, and you won't get hurt, the leader with an X on his chin said, as he was wearing an eye patch as well. So young, and so messed up already, said Naruto as he shook his head. Well, my skin is unblemished, and rather unique, so I guess I have to thank my genes for that. What are you talking about, the rain ninja said. Oh, sorry, I was talking to myself, said Naruto. What was that? I said hand over your scroll. A good time to see how strong you guys have gotten. What? Said Sasuke. Well, said Naruto as he sat down. Take care of them. Are you serious? Said Sakura. But Sasuke smirked. It wasn't like I need your help anyway. I can handle them myself. Sakura, you can't let Sasuke outplay you. After all, you have been training for this exact reason, said Naruto. Sakura looked towards the group in front of her as she saw Sasuke move. She clenched her face as she moved as well. The first two went after Sasuke as a leader, went after Sakura. He scoffed as she came towards him. He was going to put this girl in her place. He didn't even bother to reach for the umbrella on his back. The first punch that she sent, he dodged. He lashed out his hand for a brutal punch, but she weaved out of the way, surprising him by her reflex and her flexibility, as he sent several kicks, but she dodged all of them before she smashed her fist in the ground. Fused with chakra, it shake and rumble. He lost his balance as she flashed in front of him. Sakura then drove her fist into his stomach. The man's eyes went wide as blood exploded out of his mouth. He was thrown as he crashed through a tree before slamming into another one, as his back broke into it, denting it. He collapsed face first. As Naruto started to clap. See, I told you, he said. Sakura looked down towards her face. As a smile came on her face, she was happy. She felt, Sakura, watch out! The voice of Sasuke said. As the other rain ninjas released his umbrella, after his friend had been taken down by Sasuke, Sasuke couldn't reach him in time as he released hundreds of needles that came towards Sakura, who was completely caught off guard as the needles came crashing down. As it caused some smoke and dust to pick up, it was a large barrage after all. Sasuke looked over as he waited. She was his teammate for one, and next thing, they needed her to pass his exam. When the smoke cleared, Sakura was nowhere to be seen. Sakura slowly opened her eyes as she realized that she was sitting in something soft, resting against something as she realized where she was. Well, get comfy if you will. The rain ninja blinked when he saw the girl that was so close to death sitting in that boy's lap. Sakura jumped up as she looked towards Naruto confused. What just happened? I saved you. Sasuke smirked at that. Well, know that she was fine as he turned towards the rain ninja. His eyes became wicked. It was over in a second. As Naruto clapped, good on you, Sasuke. How did you save me? Said Sakura confused. As she did not understand. You were sitting down. Well, perhaps I'm faster than I look, said Naruto. Thank you, she said. That would have been really bad if she was hit by all those needles. There was literally hundreds of them. She would have been skewered and died. Don't mention it, said Naruto. What are teammates for? As Sasuke walked over, let's move. You know, Sasuke, it's really touching how much you came to care for Sakura. What? Said Sasuke. As Sakura blushed at that, well, think about it. He screamed out her name. Sakura, look out! He was so afraid. It's not like that, Sasuke said. Keep telling yourself that, said Naruto as he laughed. As Sakura looked towards Sasuke, thanks for the warning, she said. He huffed and walked away. As she followed after her group, the group made their way. After an hour, Sasuke lost it. Why the hell are we just walking, he said. Because running would get us in trouble. What? Said Sakura confused as well. Well, a lot of teams have set a lot of traps out here. Moving too fast, we will be unable to see many of them. What? Sasuke said confused, as that excuse was rather stupid. We have 5 days in here, said Naruto. As Sakura put it together, you just want to go around and antagonize the other groups to the girls, don't you, she said. What? Said Naruto. Why would you think that? Because you're you. Perhaps you're right. So I am right, she said. Come on, Sasuke-kun, let's go. Come with us, she said. Walking is just wasting time. We can be the first to get there, after all. We got her a scroll. Lucky for them, the rain team had what they needed. Naruto walked away from the group. As he looked out into the far forest, he stood there for a few seconds. The two of them looked at each other confused. What was he? The ground broke open as a gigantic snake swallowed Naruto and slid her away. The both of their eyes widened, but before they could do anything, a gust of wind slammed into them, throwing them away. The snake slid her for a good minute before he came to a stop. Once he did, he opened his mouth as Naruto dropped out. As Naruto was covered in saliva, Naruto slammed both his hands together as the saliva started to freeze and drop off him and broke. As Naruto looked up towards the snake, who looked down towards him before it lowered his head. It seems sorry. As Naruto reached out and patted his head. I know that you didn't have any say in this. Don't worry, I don't blame you, said Naruto. He's here, isn't he? As the snake hissed. Alright, you've done enough. You can go back home now. The snake hissed once again before it poofed away. As Naruto flashed away, it only took him a few seconds to cover the ground. Once he got there, Orochimaru already had his fang inside of Sasuke's neck. They didn't look that beat up, it seemed like Orochimaru had hurried. As for Sakura, she was holding on to her kuna and her hands were trembling from the bloodlust Orochimaru released earlier. Sasuke dropped as he screamed before passing out. What did you do to him, Sakura said as she held her kunai up. Orochimaru turned towards her, but before he could say anything, Sakura was trapped in the back of the neck. As Naruto caught her in his arms before slowly setting her down on the ground. Orochimaru smiled. I figured that you'd interrupt my plans, so I had to speed them up. I didn't have much time to talk to Sasuke-kun, but I'm sure that my words went across. So you're here for the Uchiha, huh? Said Naruto. I always know that you were obsessed with those eyes. You're finally gonna take them. Well, it's not that simple as just taking them. I forgot, said Naruto. Your obsession with getting the perfect host. But what if I were to kill him and destroy his eyes? What would happen then? Well, that would ruin many of my plans. But you wouldn't do that, would you, Naruto-kun? And also, I was quite disappointed when I heard that you had left your home. I mean, not even Jerry could have taken you that easily if you had decided to fight back. We both know what you're capable of. Yes, we do, said Naruto. After all, you created a monster. Yes, I did, Orochimaru said. A powerful one. A rather deadly one. A deadly one that can rip your throat open, said Naruto. As his face was not showing any mirth or anything, he was dead serious. Well, you and I both know that you won't try to do something like that. After all, we have a sheer friend in common. I visited her lately. I know that you have been writing to her. After all, you wouldn't just leave her that high and dry and leave for Konoha. She must have been sad when you left. Or perhaps she was the one that told you to go and be a good boy. I mean, you have been bad for most of your life. I spoke to Gato recently, and a few others. I found out about the Great Naruto Bridge. Quite the spectacle, wouldn't you say? What do they do when they know about your true nature? They won't. Oh, it's not as simple as that, Naruto-kun. Sooner or later, you have to return back home. Your special skills will be needed. You think you can use me like before, said Naruto. Well, not really, Orochimaru said. We both know what you're capable of. But also, if you don't comply, you know what I will do. For once, Naruto did not lose his shit, he just kept calm. As Orochimaru chuckled. As long as I get what I want, Naruto-kun, you can do as you please. And also, do not mess with my plans. I'm warning you. I will watch Konoha burn. And while that is happening, I suggest that you show where your true loyalties lie. I was never loyal to you to begin with, said Naruto. I know. But we have an interest in common. And I'm sure that you won't do anything to ruin that. But Konoha will burn. And the Hokage will die. You think that you can stand up to Konoha? I've seen what the Konoha ninjas are capable of. They would demolish his sound. Who said I only have the sound? Said Orochimaru with a smirk. He knew that Naruto would not tell a single soul about his plans. The sand will also be involving the sand. So that is why that unstable Jinchuriki is here. Ah, you met young Gaara. Why would the Kazekage involve himself with you? Knowing the man you are, the snake you are. Well, let's just say he didn't have an option to begin with. And not to mention, I won't give him one. You're gonna kill him, aren't you, said Naruto. As Orochimaru just chuckled. What kind of man do you take me for, Naruto-kun, he said. I mean, I do follow up with my deals. You and I both knew that's a big lie, said Naruto. Once this is all over, it's time that you return back home. Several things have changed since you have last been there. And sure enough, your name will spread far and wide. After what you did to those villages, soon someone will be able to put a face to the name the Blonde Devil or the Blonde Reaper. Not to mention what you did to the grass. You know they only send one Genin team here. Let me guess, you killed them, said Naruto. Well, I need a way to enter the exam, said Orochimaru. But let's not be a hypocrite, Naruto-kun. You slaughtered hundreds because of what they did to her when she was younger. So don't be a hypocrite, Orochimaru said. Well now, I must be off. Things to do, things to plan. I hope to see you very soon. With that he left. As Naruto stood there, he took several deep breaths. There was laughter in the back of his mind. It wasn't a fox, or the other things that reside in his head. It was a door that filled with darkness, as he could feel the restraints breaking. The hatred upon seeing that man was just so much. It was fueled with so much power. The thing inside was loving it every single second. As Naruto released a breath, he calmed himself down. As he created two clones that picked up Sakura and Sasuke. As Naruto was making his way, He was still rather irritated. That was being shown, seeing that his eyes were flickering. From all different colors. Red, green, black, back to their ocean blue. As he was walking, trying his best to keep himself calm. That is when a wind attack destroyed the area in front of him. As Naruto turned to see a team from the sand, not Gaara's team. They seemed to be a year or two older than him. As the girl over there looked towards him with a smug look. My, she said. Look what we have here. One little member remaining, with his two teammates unconscious. If you know what is good for you, I suggest you hand over your scrolls. If you do have them, look like you guys took quite the beating. As the two guys nodded behind her, it seemed that she was a leader. But Naruto ignored her and kept on walking. She blinked in confusion. She pulled the kunai and threw it. The kunai sliced Naruto's cheek and embedded in the ground. But he kept on walking. Take him down, she said, as the two boys flashed in front of Naruto. The first one raised his fist and smashed it in Naruto's face, going for a knockout. But as his fist impacted Naruto's face, Naruto's skin turned a metallic color, his jaw to be exact. The guy pulled his hand back confused as he was feeling pain. The second one brought his leg up and slammed it across Naruto's back. But as he jumped back, he was hopping on his leg. What the hell? What is this kid made of? Move, the girl said. The scrolls are rather sturdy. I'll simply take him down. As she gathered up her chakra. Wind style. Gale palm. She released a blast of wind that smashed the area where Naruto stood. But she was confused when his clones did not dissipate. They were still holding on to the boy and girl. When the smoke cleared, Naruto stood there, unbothered by everything. The girl jumped down confused. That is when she heard him mumbling something to himself. He then looked up as she dropped to her knees. The two guys as well. She saw herself dying at least 10 times over and over in the most gruesomest ways possible. As Naruto's gaze turned towards the first guy who tried to run. But as Naruto flashed in front of him, Naruto ripped his eyes straight out of the socket. The man screamed as he dropped, trying to feel anything around as he screamed out in pain. As Naruto stomped in his throat, crushing it completely. He died. The second one looked towards Naruto as he tried to pick himself up, but he dropped. As Naruto flashed in front of him and grabbed him by the throat, before repeatedly beating his head down to the ground, as blood started to splash all over him. A psychotic grin spread on his face, as he placed his hand on Ninja's heart and froze him over, before he pulled him up, as he was now a statue made from ice, as Naruto kicked and broke it. He turned towards the girl, blood splashed all over him. Please, don't kill me, she said. I'll do whatever you want. As Naruto turned towards her, whatever I want? She noticed his face was burning, as fire started to burn his flesh. You will give me whatever I want. For your life. Yes, whatever you want, she said. As her entire body was trembling in fear. She didn't see any way out of this, any other way. As Naruto stepped out towards her and leaned his head towards her ear. Well, the only thing I want is your death. As he placed his hand on her chest, wooden stakes exploded out of her body. As she was like a porcupine as she dropped, blood leaking from all over her. As Naruto picked himself up, before he released a bloodthirsty scream that traveled all the way through the forest. Moments later, as Naruto finally found somewhere to sit, as he put Sakura and Sasuke down the hollow tree. Sasuke was fighting off the attempts of the curse mark. Naruto could not remove it while it was being added, but once it was over. But this curse mark looked different. Orochimaru seemed to have upgraded from Anko's one. As Naruto sat there, he just sat, waiting. Sakura was not going to wake up for some time now. as he wanted the peace and quiet. He had made sure of that as he had injected in her body with a slight sedative. As he looked towards his hand, its poison could be sleep toxin or quite deadly. As Naruto looked down as he was still covered in blood, as he tore his shirt clean off before using to wipe his face off, and wiped the blood out of his hair as he tossed it aside and burned it. As he lay back on the ground, shirtless, his mind thinking through several things. He couldn't just kill Orochimaru. He had the fate of the only person in this world that Naruto cared about right in his hand. So that was a big no-no. As Naruto cursed, he was getting angry once again as he needed to vent his frustration. He then heard something as he picked himself up. "Show yourself," he said. 3 people stepped out of the bushes. "Long time no see." The voice of Zaku came out. "Seems like everyone is right. You are here in Konoha." Zaku, Dosu, Kin. As Naruto picked himself up, but he was feeling to work up, to act how he would usually act. "This is not a good time," he said. "We can catch up later. You guys need to leave." "Sorry, can't do that," said Zaku. Dosu snapped his gaze towards him, telling him to be quiet. But Zaku kept on speaking. "Orochimaru-sama sent us here. We're supposed to kill the Uchiha." "Kill the Uchiha?" said Naruto. As Naruto narrowed his eyes towards Zaku. "Seems like Orochimaru wanted to test Sasuke." "That's not needed. Leave." Kin was about to say something, but she kept her mouth shut. "I'm afraid we can't leave. We were given a specific order. So, you're gonna have to step aside." "What did you just say to me?" said Naruto. "I said you're gonna have to step aside," said Zaku. As Naruto laughed, but there was no humor in his tone. Dosu and Kin was wise enough to see that Naruto was not smiling. Zaku seemed to have lost his manners. "I've been gone for a few months, and yet you believe you have the authority to speak to me like this," said Naruto. "Seems like you've grown, Zaku," said Naruto. "Well, you see, his face was grabbed as Naruto stood in front of him. Dosu and Kin turned their head towards where Naruto now stood. As Naruto gripped his face so tight, Zaku started to scream as he flailed around in Naruto's arm. Too much pain to even use his arms to do anything. As Naruto dropped him, he dropped to his knees, still clutching his head. Naruto lowered himself to Zaku eye level. "The next time I tell you to do something," Naruto reached out and backhanded Zaku across the face as a loud slap echoed across the entire field. "Do as I say. Or have you forgotten your manners?" said Naruto, as he stomped in Zaku's face. Zaku's head slammed down on the ground as Naruto pulled him up by his throat. "Do I make myself clear?" Zaku didn't answer fast enough as Naruto slapped him across the face once again. "I said, do I make myself clear?" As Zaku weakly nodded as Naruto dropped him. "Now, you and Dosu stay here, and watch over the two of them. Don't lay a hand on the Uchiha." As Naruto turned towards Kin, "We need to talk," he said. She simply nodded, as Naruto took her by the hand and led her away. A distance away. "Well, what do you need to talk about, Naruto-sama?" she said. "Come on, Kin, you don't have to be so formal," said Naruto. "Well, I thought after you left you didn't care anymore," she said. "No, don't take it like that," said Naruto. "I just went on a sabbatical. I'll be home soon enough. And come on, Kin, do you really think I'll ever forget about you?" said Naruto. "I mean, all those wonderful times we had together." A small blush came on her face. "I guess I was just overthinking things," she said, as she was now smiling. As Naruto stepped forward, "Yeah, you tend to do that." He placed 2 hands on her cheek. "Kin, I'm really pent up right now, and I kinda need a way to release my stress. Would you mind helping me?" "Here?" she said, looking around. "Well," said Naruto as he went through hand sign. 4-pillar housing, he said as he slammed his hand together. A construction of house grew from the ground. As Kin looked up at the one-story house, as Naruto held out his hand, shall we? As she took his hand. Judging from who Naruto was, back when they were at the town, Naruto took an interest in her, out of everyone else. And that gave her much respect amongst the others because a few of them were trying to talk down to her, and Naruto slapped the shit out of them. And from that day, her name was getting a lot of respect on it. And she became like a, well, servant to him. But he just left, and it saddened her a lot. Not just her, there was many others. Well, one in particular that was pissed off that he left. But they would see each other soon. But for now, it's been a long time, and she was gonna enjoy herself. Time skip. Sakura was slowly waking up. A lot of time had passed and she was confused. Why did she feel so sleepy and groggy? She looked around where she was, as she could not understand. She pulled herself up slowly as she blinked, as she heard talking. What are you going to do, Dosu said, as Zaku was pissed off, treating us like we're nothing but servants to him. Dosu had learned his place. After all, Naruto was responsible for most of his bandage. Zaku on the other hand never received a harsh treatment from Naruto, because Naruto had liked his attitude, but still, there was always this line that he should not cross, and he had crossed it today and he paid for it. He was afraid, yes he was, but still, he was a bit arrogant, so it was hard for him to express that fear. Those on the other hand knew what Naruto was capable of, and he knew how dangerous he was, so he wasn't going to chance it. Sakura was confused as she reached. She found one of her cones and she picked it up, as she slowly stepped out when she saw the two over to the side sitting down. They were just sitting here. That is when she heard footsteps as she turned, as though Sua and Zaku got up, as Kin was coming back. Her hair was rather, well, messed up. She had this warm glow about her. She seemed a lot happy. And Naruto was also smiling. Ah, sorry about the long wait, said Naruto. Well, you guys can go now. It's about time that they start to wake up. Sakura was confused as she heard Naruto talking to these people. After a few, Sakura was shocked when she saw the girl kiss Naruto on the lips, and they left. She quickly rushed back inside as she lay down, thinking like she was asleep. Why was he with them? They were the sound team, right? She didn't know why she was doing this, but she was just curious as she lay there. It was then that Naruto entered. She could feel him towering over her. She felt his hand placed on her forehead as she felt a warm sensation rush through her body. Sakura. His voice came slowly as he shook her a bit. She slowly opened her eyes. Naruto? Ah, you're awake, said Naruto, as he looked towards Sasuke, who had stopped shaking. The seal was finished. Sasuke was due to wake up anytime soon. Naruto went through hand signs fast, too fast for Sakura to even see them. What are you doing? Evil containment seal in wave, said Naruto, as he slammed his hand on Sasuke's seal. Sasuke groaned as he winks, as a seal came over the first one and bind it. As Naruto picked Sasuke up, well, it's time to go, he said. Sakura was confused. Is he gonna be okay? He's gonna be just fine, said Naruto. He had that charming smile as usual, but something was off. As Naruto walked forward, he knew that she was there. He knew what she saw, as he wanted to see how far her loyalty stretched, if she was gonna tell anyone, or ask him what happened. But guys, being subscribed right here. If you want to see the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification as they posted. But I'm off now, see you soon, peace.